All right, you guys, so what I want to do is help you to kind of see when I walk around my pasture, one of the greatest clues to the health of my goats is to be looking at their poop and seeing what's happening. I'm always scanning the ground when I'm in the pasture, seeing who has what and is there some poop that's clumpy or whatever. So we're going to talk about poop today. I know you're excited about that. Hi, Storm. So when I'm looking at poop in the pasture, I'm also looking at recent poop. Now, this is an example. When goats have diarrhea, this can be a form of diarrhea, is clumpy poop. The way a healthy goat poops, go on, Storm. The way a healthy goat poops is these little single pellets that just spill out. But when it gets clumpy like this is a sign that there may be something going on. Now, when you have clumpy poop or diarrhea or that sort of thing, you also have to remember that clumpy poop or diarrhea can also be heavily affected by a change in feed. Now, right now, we are putting the goats out to pasture, and some of the pastures are greener than others, and some have different plants than others. So you have to remember that the way a goat digests its food is that it has a unbelievably microbial filled environment in the rumen that does all the work. And they will literally build that microbial base to handle the food that they're eating. So as soon as they have a new kind of food, their microbes have to adjust to get better at that. And very often, especially in the spring, if I put the goats on the pasture, I'm going to notice some clumpy poop, dog poop, because that's the other thing. Clumpy poop with little berries in it are like the one I just showed you. Sometimes the next level of diarrhea is like a dog poop that's smooth, but it's still hard. And then there's the full-on runny diarrhea. Dog poop and clumpy poop are super common when they're on new forms of feed. Like if I even change my grain with the does, I'll see diarrhea in the pens, or if they eat too much of the grain. So a lot of times clumpy poop and those sorts of signs are more of a sign of food changes, but it also can show up in the form of diarrhea due to parasites. So let's see if we can find here's some more clumpy poop. And again, I would guess, by the way, too, when I look at poop, and I don't think, here's another clumpy poop right here. Now, when it's fresh, I'm able to study whether that clumpy poop is also green in color. Now, if it's really bright green and it's a dog poop or a clumpy poop, and this is older, so it's been on the ground a little bit, but see how green that is? So because that's showing itself to be so green, my guess is that this is more of a food shift. So this is more of a poop that is telling me they just ate a bunch of fresh green feed, they're in the pastures right now, and that's probably why I'm getting clumpy poop, is the food shift. Now I'm poop testing my goats very regularly. I'm also very conscientious of their overall health. I know we don't have a parasite problem going on, but for you, this can be an early warning signal to a parasite problem, is when you get diarrhea in your pens. Here's a very normal looking goat poop pile. That's the way it should look. And a lot of times, by the way, they poop in their beds. So when they're actually bedded down, you can come out in the morning and you're going to be able to see little piles where they were bedded, and that poop pile is going to all be in one place. And a lot of times, if they stay bedded all night long, that poop pile will be multiple poops. So they pooped 3 or 4 different times during the night. They didn't even get up. They just poop in their beds, and that'll give you a real good indicator. So if you want to know whose poop belongs to who, because right now I don't know whose poop it is, right? The only evidence I'm going to have of diarrhea is to see it on their butt. But if I'm trying to tell who's pooping in a way that I'm concerned about, I'm always going to come out first thing in the morning, and all the goats are going to be bedded. I'm going to be able to tell whose poop is who, and it's going to be in their beds. So let's go over here, see if we find any more interesting poop, because I know you're super interested in talking about poop. Here's another clumpy poop. So that would be something that we would, pay attention to. But most of the time, your pasture should look like this. Little piles, little individuals. The clumpy stuff and that sort of thing tells us what to look for. This is an example, by the way, of... This is a bedding poop. That's probably a bedding poop as well. So these guys stir up their beds every day, and so we have that. Now I've had the wethers out on pasture, and we just put them back on feed this morning. So I'm wondering if we're going to get some of that, but I am actually seeing what I would call dog poop. So here's one of the dog poops. So this is one that's a higher level of diarrhea than this one. So this is less diarrhea. This is more. And we can go in and look how green that is. So a lot of times this is going to be green feed that's creating this. So let's go over into the weather pen just real quick, and let's see what we can find over there, and let's keep talking about poop. All right, so we're here in the weather pen now. These guys just came off of natural forage. They were up on the mountain. Now it's pretty dry feed up there. I am seeing one dog poop right here. Here's Slick pouring poop out. This is how poop should be falling out of their butts. Just like that. That's good, healthy poop. And this is an old goat. Slick is 10 now. General is 9. So the older goats, their digestive systems just don't perform as well because they can't chew their cud as well. And so it's nice to see Slick still taking a good poop. That's a dog poop. Nice. Thanks, Scout. You dropped a dog poop just for us. So this is an example. Move that way, buddy. So you can see how green it is. Now, normally, remember, when goat poop comes out of their butt, it's mostly black, and that's the rumen's operating right, that they're getting a gun. But you can tell this is dog poop, which means then he's had some nice green feed, and he's pooping dog poop. And I don't really want to touch that one because it's fresh, but you can see no parasites in there or any of that kind of stuff. And I suspected that this is based on him being on green, lush feed up on the mountain. Now, if I bring them back in now, which I am, and they're going to be operating in here for a while, we're going to start, I'm going to start looking for poop piles, and if their poop hasn't normalized yet, then we're going to make an adjustment, either test him for parasites or whatever we need to do. So let's look just a little bit more. See if we can find something of interest. We need to turn that hose off. It's just making it wet. Little more dog poops in here. Doesn't surprise me. This is an example, by the way, again, of a bedding poop. So this is a goat that laid here. He pooped while he was laying down. Again, another dog poop. Probably nice and green like the rest. That one's more fresh, but also blacker in color, I think just because it's older. So, there's your poop education for today. Poop should be considered just a part of the equation, an indication. It's good to walk your pen, know what's going on. When you have smaller amount of goats, it's easier to track that kind of stuff. And paying attention to the poop in your pens is important. So I hope you find that helpful. Marc, Warnke, the Goat Guy, signing out.